live from the Man Event Studios in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You have entered Generation Evolution for Sunday, February 23rd, 2025. I am your host, Blake, and I am by myself. And other reasons. Christian at the track event today, so I am here on a pre-recorded show to talk about the Milwaukee Comic Con. At least for a little while, then I'm going to throw it to someone else. But I want to just talk about it a little bit. But we're going to open it up with a song from the Power Rangers, anywhere Power Rangers movie soundtrack. This is Trouble by Shampoo. If you grew up in the 90s, you know you saw the movie, you know this song. All right. Hi, everybody. So, yeah, it's weird. You're just seeing me here always up. This is not going to happen very often, but over on the old show, like the show, we used to do con coverage. And this is the first official con of the 2025 con season for this show. It is the Milwaukee Comic Con. And it is currently actually still going on as I'm recording this, but I actually went this morning, on Saturday morning, the Milwaukee Comic Con at the Wisconsin State Fair in Expo Hall C. You can see the poster right here on the screen. And I want to go because I'm like, it's local and they have a couple people there I would like to meet. And I figured, well, why not go check out one of these smaller cons? They're always covering the big ones. And since it was 15 minutes from my house, I figured, why not go this morning and check it out, get in early, and talk about what happened. First things first, what's interesting was getting there. And you had to get your wristband, and there was a long line. The problem is also there was two events going on at the Wisconsin State Fair. So they had to explain, to go up to them and say, I'm here for this reason, and I need to pay for it. And on our event was like $10 cheaper than the other event that was going on. So very easy to explain. You got your wristband, and then go all the way back to the other side of the building to Expo Hall C, and you go in. And I'm not gonna lie, I might just be spoiled because I'm used to the bigger con. There's always panels and things going on. I'm not one of those people that could just walk around for 2-3 hours, do a whole bunch of shopping. I don't feel like schmoozing. I just want to go to stuff and experience things. And that's the only downside. I noticed the ticket was only $10, so it wasn't like I had to worry about it. But there was no panels. There's only a few celebrities. It was really just walking around shopping. And I did get some shopping done. Got a couple of new Funkos for the set. Got some presents for Mandy and Christian. But honestly, it was all right. It wasn't great. I'm glad I went for certain reasons, but in reality, it didn't have to go. There's some photos here from the event. And obviously, you can see the pictures here on your screen if you're watching on YouTube. I'll try to describe them for the audio side. But really, it's just, if you've been to a con, you know what you're seeing here. It's just like the walk around, look at comic book stuff. I found this one funny. This was actually a photo of China and Triple H that made me laugh. And it says "too tough," and it's very funny if you see the photo. It made me chuckle. I grabbed the photo of that as I was walking through. Yeah, you could tell the crowds. I was there early. I got there early, so the crowds are not bad. I don't know how crazy the crowds got afterwards because as I'm recording it, it's still going on until 4:30. And then this picture was fantastic. This is the Power Rangers Dragon Zord and Megazord from the movie. So I'm like, yeah, I had to take a picture of it because I thought it was freaking awesome. And then this Alexa Bliss stand-up just made me laugh. I'm like, why is this guy randomly have Alexa Bliss stand-up? There's a lot of wrestling representation in this thing, but like, just randomly, this Alexa Bliss stand-up. Sure, why not? And then of course there was some comic book people there. I'm going to put them up here on the screen. They had one of the Ninja Power Rangers there that I showed Christian, and he was actually excited when I saw that on the graphic. And then here's some more of the comic book artists that were there. But the reason I was in line was I wanted to meet the one and only Bulk and Skull. I gotta admit, I didn't know what to expect, but when I noticed they were taking their sweet time, and I appreciated it. I'm not sitting here giving them shit for it. I actually appreciated the fact that they're giving their time. It is Paul Schrier and Jason Harvey. For those who don't know who Bulk and Skull are, from the original Power Rangers and the run over the years. If you ever watch Power Rangers, you know who they are. they have to be the nicest guys I've ever met. I met in a long, long time, and I met some really nice celebrities over the years. They were just taking their time, and I'm on the photos. You can see them interacting with people. Including this little girl that actually like made little like almost like diamond painting stuff of them, of their characters, and they were posing with it, and it was a really cool interaction. Like it was fun to watch. Um, and then I did get myself a photo and an autograph with them, and here's that photo here up on the screen. It's a badass photo. I'm not gonna lie, it's really really cool. They were awesome, and I do have an autographed picture. I don't have it up here down here in the studio right now. It's actually up in the living room. I got to get it in a frame and put it up here in the studio, but it's from the movie, original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. I figured, why not? What the hell? That'd be pretty awesome. Any comparison point. By the way, the Power Rangers that I just see a picture about, bring it back up here on my screen. I just got my notes up, so I actually forgot to say who this was. This is Brayden Ninja from Power Rangers Dino Charge. So he was there. All right. There's a whole bunch of other comic cards, but I'm just not a big comic book person. Like that's the problem. I'm more of an entertainment geek. I'm not a comic book guy. So like the comic book doesn't really do anything for me. Unless I know someone personally, but like honestly, they don't really do much for me. So those don't do anything. I don't really stop to get autographs or buy their comics. It's just not something that I do. I'm more of a Funko person or something like that. I got a couple of cool keychains, but like I'm not that person. I'll support local people, but like I'm just not a comic book person. So after I was done with the Paul Schrier and Jason Narvy, the Broken Skull meet and greet, I'm like, I'm just gonna go home. I got to do around here, and I can record this and get things done here. And I'm glad I went. I'm glad I enjoyed myself. But because this show is going to be so short, here's what we're going to do. Instead of me rambling and trying to fill time, I'm going to actually throw some videos, something I don't do very often, but I'm going to do it here because it's important. It fits what we're talking about. This is from September 14th, 2024, at the Madison Comic Con Expo up in Madison, Wisconsin, that I went to, and it actually did go to a panel with these two gentlemen, and I'm actually going to throw it to the video that I shot. I included it in the Blake Style show last year, but new show, new people, new audience. So I'm going to throw it to that, and you guys enjoy, and then I'll come back here and I'll wrap things up, and we'll get out of here for the day.
You know him as the Red Ranger, Rocky DeSantos. Please help me welcome Steve Cardenas.
I told him to go out first. What's up, guys? Hello.
And of course, you can't have one without the other. Please help me welcome now Bull and Skull, Paul Schrier, and Jason Narvy.
Good to see both of you out here today. Oh my God, is that? That's. Damn it! It's too early in the morning for crossover cosplay.
You can either call me Bob Barry and Ross or Bob Rosnaroff.
Oh, I love it.
That's awesome.
Oh. Oi! Hey guys, morning.
Regarding the general population, you know, inside walls, there's 32 people you shanked last week. No, we didn't like those people either. We get where you're coming from, but
More microphones.
yeah, but give me the other microphone. And so we like to think of ourselves
Now he's 3 times as obnoxious.
more like less as a penal colony and like a penal home.
Man, don't. He said dirty. Penal.
No, I'm not saying penal words. Peanut, pen. It means that there's punitive reasons. Okay,
Please don't give me this.
This is why we don't ask. Open it up to the fans.
Oh my God. He's floating somewhere in space like an icicle after you kicked him out of the airlock.
If I did that, I wouldn't be getting his money now, would I?
Oh, you look pretty warm. Well done.
That's awesome. Thank you. Have you guys heard of the new video game?
Yeah.
It's coming out like end of this year, which we are at the end of this year, so it should be coming out very soon.
Okay.
It plays just like it's like an old school arcade brawler. So it's no voices. It's just
Grunts.
Yeah, yes, just grunts. And
Wow, how unlike the Power Rangers to do something that's low tech and cheap.
And keeping our voices out of it. So we
That's right, keeping us from
Big surprise.
And Paul, was your audition process like same thing, like table, people behind behind the mics, just like this, or was it setting in a VHS? Does anyone know what a VHS tape is?
They didn't send in VHS.
No.
You had to
Who
go
can
in
afford
first.
to not only buy a VHS tape, but have someone bring it wherever you want to go? No.
No, we were working actors and we were auditioning around town. We had talent agents, and the agents have an old thing called a printer. And they would get these casting breakdowns over the wire, as they called it. So all the casting agencies in town, they pay a subscription fee monthly to have this like hardline printer in their casting office. And then every morning, every afternoon, there'd be 2 transmissions, and all of these casting notices would come through. They call them breakdowns. And if the casting agent had somebody that they thought fit that, then they would call the actual casting agency. The agent would look at those breakdowns and then call the casting agent if they had someone, and then try and get an appointment. And so in my case, I was on very early before we shot that promo pilot, the original one that sold that show to Fox. And I just showed up to my time about 35 minutes early, which is a great way to get a job. Show up early, all bright haired, bright and bushy tailed, and I was asked to step into a fight rehearsal with Walter Jones within the first minute. And they're like, "Oh, you can take a punch, cool, you're good for the fat guy." I wasn't yet Hamlet in my own mind, so I was ready to take anything that they would offer. So it was good.
That's awesome.
And then Narvy also was, driving parts for Ford.
Yep. And it's funny because Paulie says you show up early, bright-eyed. I was on the flip side of it. Show up at the last minute, bitter, because they were replacing somebody, right? So I went down the street from Ford, and I was all greasy and not like I was like, oh, I'm gonna put on a character. I was like, fucking jacket, and let's go, And that's exactly what they needed, was some greasy, stringy guy with a chip on his shoulder. So.
Worked out great.
Worked out really well. But they were replacing somebody. So just like with Paulie, my process was pretty quick too, because I think my audition was on a Wednesday.
Correct.
They were going to start shooting Monday. So Wednesday was my audition. Thursday was my callback. Friday we got measured and did a rehearsal. And we all jumped in the back of somebody's truck and they took us out to lunch. And
The casting process was pretty fast for you too.
yeah, it was really fast. It was really
'Cause
fast.
normally it's not like that, right? Normally it's like usually months.
Months and months and calls back.
On a real show.
On a real show. Well, I mean, we'll start with this. I mean, Bulk and Skull were not major characters. Just like with Paulie's character, my character wasn't really anything. Yeah, it's just because Paulie, even though he says, show up early, we did work our asses off during my callback. They're like, you go play. We'll look at you later. And so Paulie and I just spent the whole time working, coming up with shit. But that's one of the reasons why I think they didn't spend a lot of time on us. Not that they would have anyway.
And the characters were originally,
though, man?
they were envisioned to be much smaller characters.
Yeah.
After you start eating the scenery and they can't get that wall of the juice bar out of your mouth, they're like, okay, we're going to keep you in here. So,
They try to make you laugh with Robert.
well, there was a long-running gag in Power Rangers for like the first 6 years where the art department would hide a rubber chicken in shots. And so in the juice bar, it'll be like a bunch of people exercising, and then like the arm of one exercise machine will have a rubber chicken taped to it. I know you don't need another excuse to relive many traumatic hours of watching Power Rangers, but there's some rubber chickens in there, and I find that humorous.
That's gotta be Mark, right?
Absolutely.
Mark Richardson, betcha.
That was also, didn't we do Dollar Fridays too, or whatever?
Oh,
on
that's
set?
right.
Yeah, they used to do the thing where they had like a bucket or whatever, and everybody would throw a $1 or $2 in or whatever, and you write your name on it. And at the end of the day, they would reach in and draw out one name, and whoever's name they drew out got all the money in the bucket. So the whole cast and crew would do that on
Anybody
Friday.
got a bucket?
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, let's do it.
I think that started off out of like a bitter joke. I forget which director it was, but like if something went right that day, he'd be like, thank you. You know what? This $1, this dollar here, this one's for you. This dollar's for you. And that dollar made its way around the set in this sort of, gee, thanks, asshole kind of way throughout the entire day. It was hilarious. I think that's how the dollar bucket started.
Swear jar. It's a swear jar.
I'm assuming they did not have the costume in your size.
Yeah, no, well, first of all, I didn't even know, once we got hired, they said, oh, congrats, you guys are the new Power Rangers, but they didn't tell us, oh, you're replacing the Red Ranger. I thought maybe they were adding to the cast or something like that. I had no idea. And once we got in and went into wardrobe fitting, even then I didn't know who I was going to be. Danielle, who was the costume designer, she was like, so which one are you going to be, the red or the black? And I was like, I have no idea. And she looked at her assistant, and we all looked at each other. I don't know what to do. We had to run upstairs to the production office to go ask who was going to be who. So when they ran upstairs, I'm sitting in the dressing room like, oh, please let me be the Red Ranger, please. And so then they came back and said, you're the red one. I was like, yes.
And so you know how that probably all went out. They're like, you are the red one. Go ahead. And they went,
probably,
and then they asked the same producer, so who's the red one? I think his name is Johnny. I think.
But the thing is that what was funny about it is that they started measuring me, and I said, "What are you guys measuring?" That, oh, we're measuring you for a suit. I was like, "Oh yeah, cool, I'm gonna get the red suit." Like, no. We're just gonna use Austin's old suit. We're gonna measure a muscle suit for you. So they measured me to make a muscle suit rather than making a suit that actually fit me. They just gave me Austin's old suit and put muscles underneath it because he was like so much bigger than me. And so all those Red Ranger suits that you see me in, that was Jason's old suit, and there was a muscle suit underneath it.
His ego is bigger than you.
Now, Jason, Paul, speaking of costumes,
God, there's so many of them.
Yeah,
Choose just one. I do know this. Whatever stunt was at the end of the day was the worst, because if they threw it on us, it's supposed to be edible, which means it was usually yogurt, which means it was sitting outside in the sun for 12 hours and it was no longer edible. But it was on us.
It's a probiotic, I believe they call it now. It's like good for the skin.
Yeah.
So do you have any ones that like really strike you as particularly horrific? Because I got a laundry list.
I mean,
Oh, please tell us, Paulie, tell us.
I remember spending a day in a pile of hay and turning to you after hour 8 and be like, I have horrible hay fever.
A Vulcan skull at the beach.
The mayo.
It's earlier that day, 5 o'clock in the morning, pizza funnel with cold chili. Like, that was real cold pizza, real cold chili, and I'm having to eat this and talk. And then 5 hours later, in barely a little bit of sun, he's putting mayonnaise on me. The gag is, he thought it was suntan lotion, right? Yeah. But it was real mayonnaise.
No, it was yogurt.
Oh.
Like, that's any better.
Well, one becomes the other after a number of hours. And then the other one, in one of the Road Warrior episodes, where we're all like Road Warriored out with ATVs, we did a wet cement gag, and all of the cement was mashed potatoes with gray food coloring.
Oh, that's right.
And it was like 36 inches deep, 40 inches by 40 inches, and we had to fall in it repeatedly and stay in it while they were filming all the coverage of us talking. And I'm like, I'm never eating potatoes again. Never. It was in the pockets of the costume. Like, it was nasty.
Yeah.
Nasty.
I've told this anecdote many times because Paulie has told it, but like someone at one point found him on the internet and they're like, hey, I bought a jacket that they claim is yours. Is it really? Here's a picture. He goes, don't show me a picture. He goes, smell it. Does it smell like rotten yogurt? I'm like, well, yeah, it does. He goes, that's me.
And no, I don't want to buy that.
Represented on the show as the almost
Look, typecasting is fine, brother, if it's our type. Right? It's like nepotism is fine if it's my cousin. Like, so you find a way to ameliorate the personally offensive stuff because there's a paycheck coming.
That was a good word, by the way.
I can't spell that shit.
Yeah, right.
So occasionally I was offended a little bit. I would always appreciate it if they went for the medium hanging fruit. Not just the obvious joke, but just work it in just a little bit more so that it's humorous in some regard. So, yeah, it's all good.
And Zeo too.
And Turbo.
And Turbo, yeah.
And a lot of them.
Well, it was weird to come back and do Samurai in 2010, I think, 11, I don't know, because I didn't have the real skull. I had like the 99-cent store skull. Felix Ryan is a very talented actor, but very tough Doc Martens to fill, and so I tried to encourage Felix to be his own version of that character when he did find it, and we had a lot of fun working together. That was the thing that made Samurai difficult. The other seasons, I was just in it, man. I mean, it's like the military. You almost forget after 3 years how long you got left because you're so regimented and you're so in the zone of working. And then they're like, "You want to sign up again?" And I'm like, "Okay." Thanks. That's a good question, man.
And you.
Honestly, thin guy, bigger guy, very classic comedy duo pairing.
Yep.
Did you, when you guys were working on your comedic timing and comedic sense, I guess, during the show, did you pull from any of the classics for inspiration?
Of course.
Absolutely. Laurel and Hardy, frame by frame, bro.
Yep. A lot of watching that.
A lot of VHS.
Yep. Yeah. And there was and Three Stooges were on every day in LA.
Stooges, Laurel and Hardy, Abbott
Costello.
Yeah.
We've even said a little.
I saw all that stuff emulated with you guys for sure.
We loved it. And there was a point where they were developing a show for us. Like one of the many spin-off ideas was young Laurel and Hardy, and they were working on it, but then Hal Roach shut them down. So yeah.
Well, I actually wonder though too, like when you guys, how when you said you were auditioning and they sent you off into a corner together, is that when you guys sort of figured out that you guys were?
It was kind of obvious.
Together?
You just look at each other and you're like, okay.
I know
well,
what this is.
fair enough, but I mean, was there conversations that you guys had, or you were just like, well, let's just try anything?
The script already had those actions in it.
Gotcha.
So it was kind of a natural inclination.
Yeah. I was always curious about that myself, so I was wondering.
Well, and I think with the delivery, I mean, one of the ways we got lucky is that we kind of spoke the same language. He's like, okay, how about we do it like a Gilligan and Skipper kind of like burn, and so that helped. And that was just because we already had loved those things, and then together started studying them.
We developed a really interesting dialogue. If you watch us closely on screen, you'll see that we will do stuff that's perfectly in sync, even if we're not looking at each other. And there's very subtle cues we're giving each other. So it'll be a touch cue where I'm touching him where he can't see it, or the camera can't see it, or there's breath cues where we'll have a count that we've prearranged off of a certain vocal tick one of us will do to try to get those actions in sync. So definitely great actor.
Yeah.
That's
As is he.
I love that.
And Roland Hardy too, watch them, dude. They're
so good.
Technicians, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, that's why it's amazing that you guys kind of got that rhythm immediately, that you
theater.
It really is.
Lots of stage combat, lots of really almost hurting myself with swords over the years.
Yeah. And it is rhythmic, isn't it? It's all about a rhythm. It's about using your peripheral vision to feel what the other person's doing, and that gives you the one count, turn, go, so.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for asking.
That's a really good question.
That's a great question.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Do you know how when you guys come up to meet us when we at our table or whatever when you come to these events, you get the nostalgia, you know what I mean? Well, imagine for me, almost 30 years later or 27 years later or whatever it was, stepping into a juice bar that looks exactly like the one that they, that we filmed on the set. I mean, they recreated that. So step into those old, sets, the command center and the juice bar and stuff. We got nostalgia, and it was exciting for us because, we see each other all the time on the circuit doing these Comic Con stuff, but to get back together and be on camera again was particularly a lot of fun. It was real special.
It meant a lot to us to be a billboard.
Yeah.
Those guys were
more believable than we ever were as
very lively performances.
Rangers, right? And so we weren't up in front. So when Paulie and I were on the set, we would ask questions. Hey, what's that? How do you do that? And we ingratiated ourselves to other members of the crew. And so we were able to know what they're doing and get the creative input that way. These guys didn't have that advantage, especially because, Steve and Karen and Johnny were playing catch up their first season. and we already were in a speaking way with these people.
Yeah, we did. You guys definitely had more time off on the other side of the camera anyway.
Yeah,
because you had less scenes per se. But yeah, that's.
And we made 10 times less money than you, so
Yeah.
you're
Well,
damn right.
Yeah. So we also knew that we were dispensable, right?
We were making 10 times less too, so don't. That's great too.
But I'll promise you, some of our castmates were able to say no. Remember, who was it that asked Paulie, did you ever say no? Some of our castmates were able to and did. And we're like, no, we can't do that. We're not doing that. We want to work.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Participated in, because there's a lot of anti-bullying PSAs,
Yeah,
post
those are funny to us though. That sounds terrible.
Hey,
They're
heard
funny
me.
because they created them because they're like, we want to show kids there's a difference between reality and what happens on screen, which is actually great. And so they were going to use Paulie's girlfriend at the time. They decided not to do that. And so they created a niece for him that doesn't exist. He doesn't have siblings, unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know which. And then they made us wear clothes that we never would wear in real life. I'm like, can I wear my leather jacket? They're like, no, you look too much like Skull. I'm like, I know!
And they made the PSA about reality versus fantasy with my fake niece.
Yeah, putting us in khakis and can you put on this sweater?
So my girlfriend was older. She was 38, and than me, I was 22, and they wanted to put her in a sun hat and a sundress to try to I don't know, youthify her, and she was like, I'm not doing it.
You tried to euthanize her?
Oh, that's funny. Oh my God. So yeah, there was that. We also did a bunch for Fox. What is it? Fox Kids Rock the Vote. Mm-hmm. I suddenly remember that one. Yeah, that was back when we believed in the power of the youth vote.
I remember that we did PSAs, but I can't remember for the life of me what any of the ones that I did, what the subjects were on. I can't remember at all.
Because you were a bully.
Yeah, right.
The whole PSA thing, though, was the network and our company's attempt to deal with a lot of the bad press, because you might recall kids lost their lives playing Power Rangers when somebody would pick up a wrench and hit their little brother in the stomach. And there was numerous, more than 6 or 8 kids lost their lives playing, this world. And so they had to do something. Yep. Yeah. And they're not taking the kung fu out. It's
So it's kind of like we gave kids a mountain of sugar candy, and then afterwards and here's a carrot. Sorry.
It was a little too late, maybe.
Yeah.
All right, that is that. Thank you so much for tuning in today and enjoying. We'll be back to our normal format on Thursday. And I'm going to play a Power Ranger theme in the background here because I can. And Thursday, we'll be previewing the Elimination Chamber. I might be working on a guest, but for right now, it is just 3 of us. They're going to preview WWE Elimination Chamber. I think it's got really interesting SmackDown this week. So we'll talk about all that next week. And me and Christian will be back together next Sunday for another awesome show that we'll see what happens. We're talking about between now and then, because I honestly never know until sometimes on Sunday morning. One more thing, make sure you go and answer the question of the week, which is if your family ever needs a getaway driver, who should it be? I know this is a rough one. It's not getting the much attention as the last few, but go answer. I want to see if anyone can give me some kind of why that answer. So that being said, let me get out of here, and I'm going to go get the show posted, and I'll see everyone on Thursday. Thank you all for listening, and you've been inside the Generation Evolution. I'm Blake. Have a good day, everybody.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers! Thank you so very much. Goodbye, mwah, and good night.